Yes, people, good afternoon. Hope you're all well. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. Wow, I've had a mental weekend, man. Absolutely crazy. You'll be seeing the vlog. Trust me, it is coming out. We had a great time on Friday night. All of us met up for Christmas drinks. Everybody part of Football's 12th Man all went to London and had a great night. And trust me, you'll be seeing some vlogs of some very drunken um, vlogs and very drunken discussions, football debates. You'll recognize everybody on there. It was a great time and a great night. And I had yesterday at the football, and I literally had to get back ASAP. So I didn't have a chance to do a fan cam on AFTV or a chance to come on here and do it. So I thought I'd do it today. I hope you're all well. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you have a great Sunday. And I hope you've enjoyed your Friday night and your Saturday as well. I'm a little bit croaky this morning, so apologies. My throat is going. But Arsenal, they cheer everybody up. At the moment, they really do. Top of the league, top of the Champions League group. Still frustrated they were out of the Cup, but FA Cup to come in the new year as well. Leading up to Christmas, some very important games. And wow, a busy December for everybody. It's going to be interesting to see what these injuries do for certain teams because there's 7 or 8 games for some. And that is going to really take a toll on the Premier League squads. So listen, do me a favor, smash a like if you haven't done so already. Make sure you hit subscribe. We're literally only a few off of 12.7 and our target is to get to 13. So if you haven't done so, please, 2 buttons, a like and a subscribe is absolutely free and it bigs up the channel. So thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for watching. Arsenal, was that convincing is my first question. Yeah, I think it was. I don't think it was as comfortable as perhaps it should have been. The scoreline doesn't really reflect how controlled we were in the game and how much we dominated. Um, but again, there's question marks over killing off games, questions from some about how convincing we were. I've seen some things over the top, if I'm honest with you. 2-1 is not an unbelievable result, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, the actual performance itself, I thought was. The second half, kind of, um, what's the word? Flat, a bit of a dead game. Um, at the first 25 minutes, I thought perhaps we were going to see another 5, maybe 6 going through because Wolves had to come back out. But actually, what Wolves did was they just tried to do their best not to make it a 4, 5, or 6. And I think that they did that. The goal was a mistake, which we'll come into. But let's talk about the actual goals and how fluid we were, because there is no doubt in my mind that Mikel Arteta is choosing as and when we are allowed to be creative, fluid, and attacking. And I think the attack-minded side of us is what we want to see. The good thing is we can actually see that it's still there. It still does exist. It's not they can't do it anymore. It's clearly tactical from Mikel Arteta. And in the Champions League group stages, we've been able to do it. We've been able to show that we can be a little bit similar to the Arsenal of last season. Particularly at the Emirates in the group stage of the Champions League, we've put 4s, 5s, and 6s past teams. PSV, we battered them. Sevilla, and also the other night against Lens, we proved that we can score goals. Then we looked at Wolves, and in the first half an hour, we were all over them. We were fluid, we were attacking, we were attractive to watch. It was quick, fluid movement of the football, really good in transition, everybody on the same wavelength. Fullbacks going forward, defense defending, Declan Rice doing his thing, and our front four being, let's be real, something we've needed to see for a while. And the one player I want to big up is Martin Odegaard. I haven't seen Martin Odegaard perform in many games so far this season, and he's been injured and he's not quite been himself. But actually, when you look at his performance in this one, it was really good. Really good. I look at what Martin Odegaard was doing last season, and I saw glimpses of that yesterday. And it's great to see. Really is great to see. So I honestly believe, personally, Martin Odegaard's last performance like that was against Bournemouth away back in, was it September, October time? We haven't really seen it as much, man. We haven't really seen it as much. So Martin Odegaard deserves a hell of a lot of credit. Tomiyasu does as well. Probably the most underrated player in the Arsenal setup right now. Tomiyasu as a fullback has been our best this season. Tomiyasu is versatile. He can be a right back, left back, or right-sided centre back, or probably a left-sided centre back if we needed to be. He's great in the air. His tackling ability is superb. His one-on-one defending is one of the best we've got, and he's not afraid to bomb forward. And we haven't really seen our fullbacks overlap so much this season, but we did in this game. And Tomiyasu was one of them. In the game against Lons, I thought he was great. You know, he's got 2 assists, I believe, and I thought he was phenomenal. For me, he was the man of the match in the first half. And in this game, I would say similarly. I thought he was really good. Because I'm a big fan of what I'm seeing from Tomiyasu. And I hope he's not out because, again, he's gone down. And we hope he ain't injured for a long time because normally when Tomiyasu goes down, he's injured. I don't want to be seeing that. I want to be seeing Tomiyasu play regularly for Arsenal because I think he's been a really good player. And I think he's been consistent for us, which is why I believe he's been underrated because it's not just about him doing a job. He's actually been one of the better players on the pitch now, you know? And I've always thought that if you're going to compare any of this current crop of players to any of the Invincibles, like some people like to do, I think at Lauren at right back and Tomiyasu at right back is very similar. They give 7 or 8 out of 10 and they're consistent and they're underrated. People forget about Lauren in the Invincibles. He's one of the names you could completely forget about. He's kind of in the Gilberto Silva and Kolo Touré bracket for me and the Jens Lehmann bracket. Everybody talks about Pires, Vieira, Bergkamp, Henry, Lundberg, Ashley Cole. Fair play. But no one really talks about those other 3 or 4 players that were so pivotal to us moving forward. And I think Tomiyasu could be one of those guys that you look at and think, wow, if Arsenal win a trophy, how pivotal was he and how important was he? And at the moment, he's proven to be extremely important to everything that we're doing. So I think he deserves a hell of a lot of credit, Tomiyasu. I've been a big fan of what he's done so far. I do think as well that there's definitely some form of I don't want to be too harsh. I think Zinchenko and Ben White have had good games, but I think they've also had poor games. Tomiyasu, I don't think has had a bad game yet in an Arsenal shirt. So big up to Tomiyasu, deserves his flowers for sure. But the other player that definitely deserves more credit that he's getting this season is Bukayo Saka. Now, I understand that Bukayo Saka is not doing what he's done in an England shirt and Arsenal shirt at his best level this season, but his goals and assists do not lie. He has got an unbelievable GA. And when you look at the GA of him and Salah, it's very similar, but everybody's talking about Salah. Now, I think Saka could be, when you look at his career at the end, I think he could go down, if he stays at Arsenal, that is, as one of the best that we've seen and one of the best that the Premier League's seen. There's nothing the kid can't do. He looks electric. He looks sharp. He looks like he's going to make something happen. He's a constant threat. He's very predictable and then unpredictable at the same time. So what I mean by that is he's going to cut in. You know he's going to cut in, but he still makes it work. He had 3 players around him and he got it through and he scores. And do you remember when we had Pepe? It was so obvious where he was going and everyone knew it and he wasn't good enough to get through players like that. Saka is, man. Saka is just new level, man. Absolute different level. Big fan. One of my favourite players, if not my favourite player. And I think when you look at it, he's going to be remembered for doing some very good things at Arsenal. I think he's probably the best we produced. And I think when his career ends, we'll probably look back and say, yeah, you were the best that's come through our youth system. We've had some greats. Rocky, Merce, Kevin Campbell, Tony Adams, Ashley Cole. The list goes on. But for me, this guy, I think he's going to be elite, world-class status. And deserves a lot of credit. That first goal was fantastic. Really impressed with Gabriel Jesus, Tomiyasu's ball through, and then Saka does the rest and slots it home. We go 1-0 up, and that early goal really did decide how this game was going to pan out. And I thought that was the most important moment of the game because it allowed us to open up. Gabriel Jesus, I mentioned him there. I thought in the first half hour, actually in the first half, he was immense, mate. He was the glue. Everything stuck to him. He was linking it up well. If you look at an all-round number 9 performance and one that isn't all about goal. Not like a Haaland or a Kane where stand up there, don't really see him do much goal. If you actually look at his work rate and what he's done, it has been great. It has been fantastic. So big fan of what Gabriel Jesus is doing. And I was so impressed by it. I must say, I understand why people want another centre forward. But I think that if Jesus stays doing what he's doing right now, I'm fine with it because last season he was injured for most of it, like 4 or 5 months, was it? 3-4 months. But we 100% need a new striker. I mean, it's clear. Let's be real. Because when Eddie Nketiah comes on, different story. Has to score. Hits the post, has to score. And that for me is why we need a centre forward. Whether it be Ivan Toney, whether it be Osimhen, whether people want to take a punt on Evan Ferguson. I don't care. You can throw loads of names at me. But for me, Eddie Nketiah is not the guy. And when we took the subs on, it kind of killed the game off. Havertz and Eddie come on. Martinelli come off. Jesus come off. I don't know. I just felt it was completely different. And I felt the game went flat and dead. And it was a shame because it looked like we were going to be extremely convincing. The second goal, my favourite goal, to be honest. I thought Saka's ball, Zinchenko 1-2 with Jesus, fantastic pass. Erdegaard's first time shot, loved it. Absolutely loved it. And Erdegaard scored my favourite goal in the midweek game as well. So really impressed, really good, 2-0, and it looks like it's going to be a nice, easy game. And then what happened? I don't think many people knew. I don't think many people could put their finger on it. We should have scored more. In the second half, Trossard went through, took a little bit too long to get his shot away. Eddie Nketiah went through, hit the post, which I think he thought was in. Everybody thought was in. Got to score that. Come on, Eddie. Like, you've got to score that. And then we make the mistake. We make the mistake that I've seen for quite some time. And I really like this player going forward. But defensively, I've always had my question marks. And I do think he's a liability at times. I think of the mistakes that haven't led to goals that Zinchenko has made. Against West Ham, against Chelsea. They didn't lead to goals, but giving the ball away in stupid positions. And the ones that have led to goals, Fulham. They're down to 10 men. Zinchenko passes the ball away, concedes a corner, they score from the corner. Yesterday, you must know there's a man on you there, bro. Get it out. Or, simple pass next to you. Loses the ball, they score from it. So really, I kind of have to call him out a bit. I'm sorry, I just don't see the mistakes from the other defenders like I do from Zinchenko. And I love him going forward. I think he's really pivotal in how we were playing last season. And this season, I've been a big fan as well. But I can't sit there and start not saying it how it is with Zinchenko. He makes mistakes. I think he makes more than what I've seen from Timber, Tierney, Tomiyasu, Kivior, Gabriel, or Saliba. I think he makes the most mistakes as a defender. And unfortunately, it looks like Mikel Arteta has accepted that that's just the way it is. We're going to be playing him in that position. And if he makes a mistake, we'll just have to score more that day. Not really the response I want to hear, man. I'm a real big fan of him as a footballer. I think he's great. Love him on the ball. Love him going forward. Technically gifted. But defensively, I still have my worries. And against some opposition, I can see why we played Tomiyasu there. You know, and I think that Timber will be the same. I liked Kieran Tierney because defensively he was a left back. And unfortunately, we've gone with this inverted thing now, which has led to Kieran Tierney having to be loaned out. Looks like he's going to get a permanent move. Currently injured at Sociedad, but looks like he's going to get a permanent move either back towards home and maybe Newcastle will look at him. Maybe he'll go up north somewhere, or maybe he'll go back to Scotland and play for Celtic again. I don't know. But for me, defensively, some question marks with Zinchenko. The other player I need to mention is Declan Rice yet again. I'm starting to run out of superlatives for this guy. I look at him as a footballer and think he's beautiful to watch. He does everything in the midfield that you would want. And I used to play Football Manager quite a lot when I was younger. And now it's all about FIFA cards and what people are stats-wise. Well, I remember clicking on a defender or a midfielder and looking at their attributes. And it was always out of 20. And if you look at the positioning, you look at the tackling, you look at the driving forward, you look at the ball interceptions, everything you want as a midfielder and everything you want as a defender, Saliba and Rice have it all. I don't know any area of weakness of either of these people's game. Like, Saliba is an absolute monster. Declan Rice, people talk about Saliba being a Rolls Royce. I think we've got another one in midfield in Declan Rice. I do not understand why people have not really... Maybe they have bigged him up and it's just me. But I always look at midfield options and they go, oh, yeah, he's not these people's levels, but he's down here somewhere. I actually think right now, in world football, there isn't many better than him in that position. There really isn't. With what he's showing consistently in both the Champions League and being top of the league, he's been pivotal as to why we're there. He's been our best player this season. I think when you look at his performance and you just focus on him, you understand the game of football. And I think it was Luis Aragonés who said that about Sergio Busquets. And I actually remember using the example of Gilberto Silva. Watch Gilberto Silva as his Arsenal days, and you will see an unbelievable game of football. And do the same with Declan Rice right now. Go to the Emirates or go away from home and watch Arsenal. Do not watch the whole game. Watch Declan Rice. Just watch him. He will get your man of the match every single game if you do that. I promise you it. He is phenomenal, mate. Absolutely phenomenal. And the biggest amount of respect and compliment I can give him is the amount of pressure that lad would have had on his shoulders when he come to Arsenal. It's 105 million, mate. You better be good. No one's mentioning his price tag. You know, Andrew's just said it in there. No one's mentioned about the price we paid for him. Why? Because he's been an unbelievable signing. He's been worth every penny. That's why. So I have to say it. I think Declan Rice, at the moment, walks into a Premier League 11 right now. And Rodri, I've mentioned the comparisons. I never said that Rodri was worse than Declan Rice, by the way. I never mentioned Rice being better than Rodri. I even said it in my fan cam that Rodri is the best CDM in the world. By far, in my opinion. No one gets near him. But if you look at what Rice can do as a footballer at a younger age, in a team that currently sits above where Rodri is, in a team that is competing and very, very, very comfortably getting through a Champions League stage, that is meaning he's playing at the highest level. And I look at everything in his game, I look at everything in Rodri's game, and I think, and I stand by it, that if Rice has a little bit more confidence going forward, he can score goals and he can do more than what Rodri can do moving forward. Doesn't mean he's better than him defensively, doesn't mean he's a better holding midfielder. It means that as a footballer, he has more to go to try and get a little bit more out of his game. And I think driving forward is one of them. Scoring goals is another. We're already starting to see Declan Rice taking shots outside the box. I love to see it. We already see him linking up play. I love to see it. And I think that if we do get Thomas Partey back in the new year, which is rumoured to happen, and Declan Rice does play in that attacking 8 role that Granit Xhaka was playing in, I think you could do that. I think one day we could. So let's see what happens. The other player who deserves credit for me is Martinelli. Now, I don't think he gets enough credit sometimes. I think a lot of people talk about Bukayo Saka, but they never mention Martinelli. I don't think there's much between them, if I'm honest. I think Saka probably has a lot more respect and a lot more pressure on his shoulders. But Martinelli, for me, if I was picking 2 wingers in the league, I'd pick Martinelli and Saka. I'd pick Martinelli and Saka. I would. I wouldn't pick Rashford ahead of Martinelli. I wouldn't pick Grealish. I wouldn't pick Mitoma. Who else is there? Doku, Bernardo Silva. I wouldn't pick any of them because as a left winger, Martinelli is better for me. He does everything that I want to see my left winger doing. And as a right winger, Saka and Salah, you're going to mention them. The only reason I pick Saka is obviously a bit of bias and also because he's younger. And I think he's got an unbelievable ceiling, which I think is just going to be incredible. So we are, without doubt, in a position where we have 2 of the best wingers in the league. And I can't remember the last time Arsenal did that. Because even with Freddie Ljungberg and Pires, which is probably the last time we had 2 wingers of that level, there was Beckham's, there was Giggs's, there was Ronaldo's. People talk about. For me, at the moment, Saka and Martinelli are right up there. Whether they're the best in the world, you can debate that all you want. Not for me, but in terms of their position in the Premier League, we've got 2 of the best. And we need to be really appreciative of that because I think they are absolutely superb. So big fan of both of them. Massive fan of what I've seen from both of them. And I think this season, they're going to do exactly what they did last season. I think they will get the numbers. I think they will improve. I think they will get between 10 to 15 each again. I think the GA will be good. We've already seen with Saka that he's doing bits. And long may it continue, man. Long may it continue. Now let's talk quickly about the run of games that we've got. Because for me, Luton on Tuesday night, big game, man. Big game. Sorry, absolutely massive game. They're a side that deserve a hell of a lot of credit. Because out of the 3 teams that have gone up, they've left Burnley and Sheffield United dead in the water for me. They're the only team I could have any form of debate about that may stay up. I don't think they will. I still think they'll go down. I think the 3 went up. They'll be the 3 that go down. But Luton have played very, very well at home. They've made Chelsea, Spurs, and Liverpool really work for wins there. So I would say this is going to be a tough game. Now, what do? Do we rotate? We might have to. And this is where Arsenal's squad depth is really going to show. This is where Mikel Arteta is going to show how much he's learned through rotating because he's not had to do it before in these amount of competitions at this level. Raya's going to play. Had a good game. Looks commanding. Looks a lot more reliable than he has in the first few games. I think David Raya at the same time as well, deserves a lot of credit for the one-on-one save yesterday. Crosses, looks good. So, yeah, we're keeping him in goal. Ramsdale looked very nervous last week against Brentford. I don't see rotating to these goalkeepers. I think Ramsdale is going to be a cup keeper now. Our back line looks like it's going to be White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Tomiyasu. Wouldn't surprise me if Kivior did play, but I think Tomiyasu looks like he's got a knock. So Zinchenko will play left back, Ben White right back, and then Gabriel and Saliba. We might see Jorginho in this one because of how tiny and tight the pitch is. He might play Jorginho, Rice, and Erdegaard. He might. And then across the front three, I expect it to be the same. Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus. If he is going to drop one of those, and Trossard might come in. What we got to be careful of, though, is bringing on the subs that we did against Wolves all the time. Because for me, I don't see that as a massive threat. If you're bringing on Eddie and Nketiah, Kai Havertz, and then the ones that are particularly injured at the moment, Vieira, even Smith Rowe of late, do any of the oppositions go, oh no, they're coming on? So sometimes I don't think it is that bad to start Trossard and Havertz and bring on, say, a Martinelli and a Jesus, or maybe even an Erdegaard. I don't think that's a bad thing because you're bringing on players you know can be massive impact subs. And I don't think we've got many impact players. If I was to count up how many players I think I would keep at Arsenal 100%, it would probably be 15 or 16 players, which means we probably need 4 more signings to replace the likes of Eddie, Reece Nelson, Fabio Vieira. Who else is there? Maybe a couple more. You might make a case for a couple at the moment that haven't really got into the swing of it. But for me, we need those 4 players to come in. If you add an Ivan Toney for one of them, and you put in Pedro Neto, and you put in, let's say, Yusuf Fofana in midfield, and maybe Diamande, the right-sided centre-back, you've got a hell of a squad there. With still Partey and Timber to come in, with Trossard, with Tomiyasu that we've spoken about. Obviously, if you then add Ivan Toney and Pedro Neto to add to that attacking way, that's what the sort of squad I want to be building. So I know that's going to be maybe the summer, hopefully a couple in January. But that for me is where we can actually look at our squad and rotate it and go, yeah, do you know what? We've actually got 19, 20 players here now. At the moment, I think we've got maybe 14 to 16 when they're all fit. We need a little bit more. So let's see what happens in January. I feel against Luton, we might see a couple of changes, but I do fancy us to win. Then we've got to go to Villa Park, which is huge. Absolutely huge. Hard place to go. They lost there for God knows how long. Emery's doing absolute bits with Villa. Fair play to him. We went there last year and we struggled. We had to rely upon Emi Martinez heading it into his own net after it come off the crossbar from Jorginho's screamer. Martinelli made it 4-2, but really it's because they pushed everybody forward to try and get an equaliser. So it's difficult. I'm interested to see performance because the performance of last year was go gung-ho. This year we've gone away from home and we've been resolute. We've been really hard to beat. Possession football. The only game we've lost this season has been away from home due to a VAR decision. So we are in a good place. We're hard to beat. And I hope that we go and put that type of performance in against Villa. And then we've got Liverpool at Anfield. We've got Brighton at home, which is a game I feel that we haven't really impressed the last few seasons. They've got a lot of injury problems. But at the Emirates, they always seem to get one over us. And they absolutely battered us last year. And fair play to them. They were superb on the day. But they're the ones. We lead in to the new year. We've got Luton. We've got PSV, which I think we just play the kids for now. We've gone through. Rest all your players. Villa Park, difficult. Anfield, mentality-wise, that's the one. We haven't won there since Cazorla and Podolski scored in the 2011-2012 season. And I think the season before that was when Van Persie scored the volley. So we scored 2 years in a row, we won. We ain't won there since. So since 2012, come on. It's got to change. Last season, we did it at the North London Derby away. Season before that, I think Chelsea and United were 2 other grounds we struggled to. We've managed to overcome those in the last couple of years. Now let's go and do the same thing over at Anfield. Has to be done. It has to be done. And I can see this being a really good game. I've spoken about Brighton and how difficult that will be at home, but I fancy us this time round. And then I think we've got Fulham on New Year's Eve. So we get through to New Year and we get through those games, we will be the favourites to win the Premier League. It's just facts. We win these games, going up to the new year, we sit top of the league, people will start talking about Arsenal winning the league. That's what we got to do. We've got to start making everybody look at us because no one's looking at us right now. And this was the same last season. We were top for 95% of the season, was it? The minute people said they're going to do it, aren't they? They're going to win the league. We crumbled. We crumbled. At the moment, Liverpool are finishing above us. Man City are winning the league. No media pundits other than Gary Neville and maybe a couple more are saying anything otherwise. Arsenal winning the league is not really trending at the moment. And I'm fine with that because the minute we start looking at Arsenal as winning the league, that's when it can kind of go wrong. So no one's going to talk about titles until we get to the end of February, really. The end of February, March is when people start to talk about, wow, where's everyone at? How many more games are left? They start getting the fixtures up, go head to head. I honestly believe Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City will be in a title race, all of them, until April. I honestly believe all three of them will be in there until April, and they'll all be able to win the league at that point. And everybody else, I think, will start to fall. I think the Newcastles, the Spurs, the Villas, Uniteds will still be up there fighting, I'm sure. I think they'll all be spoken about as being who's going to get that fourth place. Because the three, I think, are going to be City, Arsenal, Liverpool still. And I haven't changed my mind on that. So, very interesting run of games. Big, busy, festive period. But Champions League's done. We can forget about that. We're one game a week now on Premier League only. And then the FA Cup will start in the new year. So, at the moment, one competition to worry about, and that's the Premier League, the one that everybody wants. So that's what Arsenal got to do. We're going to leave it there, guys. Big up everybody in the chat. Make sure you do me a favor. Smash a like, smash a subscribe. If you haven't done so already, it's 2 buttons and literally it gets me to where I need to be. I'm at 13K as my next target. So make sure that we do that. We're almost at 12.7 if we're not there already. So only literally 300 off from 13K. So please make sure you all smash the like now. There's well over 100 of you watching still. So make sure you do me a favor and just hit that subscribe button and we'll get there very, very quickly. Smash a like on the video. Hopefully you've all enjoyed it and enjoy the rest of your weekend also. And we'll see you next time. We're back tomorrow night for Race for Europe. So make sure you're there. Take it easy, people. We're out of here. Laters. Peace.